SpongeBob SquarePants. Now you think with something like Creepypasta, the last thing you would think that anything that would be associated with it would be the cartoon SpongeBob SquarePants. But this episode that I'm about to tell you is no ordinary episode. See, it all started in 2005. The movie had been released. The writing team was more creative than ever. And this intern, who was basically working his dream job in an animation studio, an intern but not being paid, he was happy to work for free just to be in Nickelodeon Studios. He also was given the job of viewing episodes of cartoons days before their airing. But one day when he was told to observe a future episode of SpongeBob SquarePants, him and some other interns sat in a room where they would view this. Now, they tended to have a running gag with each tape, all of them having weird, funny names, just a harmless, practical joke. But on this one, the title was called Squidward Suicide. Just thinking it's a very morbid joke, they then decided to play the tape. When watching it, at first the episode opened with the cheerful theme song and the title card, and the episode started like it would any other. The episode begins where Squidward is practicing on his clarinet, not being brilliant and missing some notes like he usually does, until he hears giggling and laughing outside, and it's SpongeBob playing with his friend Patrick. Squidward telling them to be quiet as he is practicing for a clarinet concert, and both of them agree to do so and go off to play with Sandy. So the episode cuts to the bubbles going across the screen, and then Squidward at the clarinet concert. As always, not brilliant, but then the whole crowd, which are meant to be fish, all sit there in an abrupt silence, but their eyes not looking like the eyes you would see in the cartoon. This is when things started to take a really dark turn. They all sat there with those eyes, human eyes, with red in them. Even SpongeBob, at the center of the audience, not making a noise, until there was booing, where Squidward was being booed off stage, not like a cartoony kind, but like an actual kind of people screaming and shouting boo and getting off. That's when Squidward had retreated to his home. Later on, he went to his room and just started to sob, endlessly sobbing, until the sound abruptly cut. Then things got more disturbing. Squidward's tears soon started to turn to blood, and then it was just a freeze frame of him in total silence, until an image started to cut And then, in the reel, there was a disturbing image of a child, a young boy, laying dead with his eyes popped out of his head and his entrails all over the body, stripped down to the underwear. The body was laid on some concrete, like a road, and yet in the photo was the shadow of the photographer, not looking like a crime scene photo. Whoever took this photo must have been responsible for the child's death. Before going back to the shot of Squidward sobbing some more, before the image changed again, and this time it was of a girl, same age, stripped down to the underwear, with the eyes removed, and this time laying on her front in a pool of blood, face mutilated, entrails laid out. At this point, one of the interns, who was female, ran out of the animation room in distress. And of course, another image had then shown of a boy. Not the same boy, but again the same age and same condition, only this time the entrails were being pulled out with a hand in the frame. Not only that, another image showed an exact same image, although this time slightly different, as if it was slowly moving, even the kid's eyes blinking. At this point, the intern who was telling this story couldn't hold it back any longer, and he vomited. They even called the show's creator, Steven Hillenburg, to come down. Looking at this, being absolutely disgusted and angered by this, thinking, who the hell would make this? The interns and the animators thought this was some sick joke, but it was just sick, disturbing and horrifying. And then it cut to the final shot, where Squidward is just sat there, staring directly at the audience with his eyes red raw, and just looking emotionless, until a voice is then heard. A voice that just simply says two words: "Do it." Squidward then takes a shotgun and puts it to his chin, and pulls the trigger, blowing his head off with brains splattering on the wall behind him, before his body hits the bed. And there Squidward's body lies, with what's left of his head, only just an eye that even blinks. And the episode ends there. The animators having no idea, especially the interns, and Hillenburg himself having no idea what they just saw, wondering what the hell it was. They tried to trace it, find out where this episode came from, this lost episode, even reporting it to the authorities and seeing if they can get any ID on the disturbing images of the mutilated children, but nothing was found in the investigation, and to this day it remains a mystery. The intern who worked at Nickelodeon Studios at that time is now very cautious and thinks twice before looking at something. Of course, at one point, they were asked to re-watch the episode so that they can show it to the police, but just the one go around was enough to leave it imprinted in their mind forever.